Hi, I'm Chef Steve. I'm going to show you some cooking shortcuts. Today we're going to learn how to saute, and I'm going to show you a little tip on how to flip that omelet and how those chefs do it. What we also practice on. This is a container of rice. This is a little cookie sheet, a piece of parchment paper. If you don't have the parchment paper, you can use a piece of aluminum foil. You can use a piece of newspaper. This is one of the great tips before you, if you're a teacher and you send 18 students over to the stove and they start flipping things around and vegetables are flying on their shoes, and you wonder why the omelet, half of it lands on the shoe itself. Here's a great tip for you. So what I do is I take this little piece of parchment paper, the cookie sheet, and take some rice. You can also use kosher salt if you wanted to. And what a chef does, the little technique you learn, is you create a little pocket first in the pan, and then you flip. You bring it across this way. I had worked with my son some, who actually took some cooking classes with me. Of course, it took a little while to learn this also, but just flip it this way. Here again, if it splashes, it goes onto the things. It goes actually onto the parchment paper. And we can use this size pan. We can use a larger pan also. This is a larger pan. Even use a much larger pan here. Now the way this is actually, the pan itself is called a saute pan, but also a sauteuse, which has sloped sides. Once we have that, and that actually helps out, you can see that the motion it's creating right there, how it's flipping back and forth. I'm not worried about spilling it, because if it goes onto the sheet pan, all that I do afterwards, I can just pick it right up and pour it right back to my container. That's an easy one. Now how do they flip the omelets? How do you learn how to flip an omelet? I'll show you that right now also. A little pan right here. This is actually an egg pan. And this is an omelet pan here. Two different sizes. So a chef would do like 2 eggs over easy in a pan like this. You can also do a smaller omelet. Okay, so here's what you do. Practice with a piece of bread first. Actually, this is the heel of the bread. I'm going to show you another tip with this, because when I bake my bacon, I put the heels of the bread, which a lot of people don't eat, especially kids. I put that on the bottom to absorb any of the bacon fat. So all I want to do is just to take this right now and just learn how to flip. And when you want to do that, what you want to do is tilt the pan first. Almost create a little pocket down here. The same with the sauteing. So it's just not going up and down. You actually want to start here, then you use your wrist. Wrist there, wrist there, wrist there. Same type of thing. Those are great little techniques. So let's do that live right now. I actually have a little induction range we can work with. And I'll show you how that actually works. Induction, this is actually cooking by magnets right here. So I'm actually going to turn this heat up. In one of my earlier episodes, I had cut some peppers. We'll cut a couple of the vegetables while that pan's getting hot. When you work with induction, you want to have something in the pan at all times. So I actually took a leftover bottle from a salad dressing. I took the label off and I labeled this canola oil. It's much easier for me to work with, especially if I do demonstrations. Plus I can take it with me and I can easily pour it out. I have this, and I have some extra virgin olive oil also. But sometimes I just use a squeeze bottle for this. So when I'm cutting my vegetables here, I have here, I'll show you another cutting technique where I take a red onion. This is a great tip also. There's a red onion. You want to make it sound more expensive, call it a Bermuda onion. So when I cut down through it, I cut down through the core. And I'm going to cut down through the core one more time, right here. And I just grab the outside of it and just lift it. You see that? Once I have that here, I showed you earlier, you never move the item you're cutting, you just move your hand back. So when I cut back, I never push it. I cut here, I rock. You see how I rock? Right across, and I just rock right down through this onion. My knife is actually angled a little bit to that side also. I cut right down through. And I can test it. See if the oil's hot. Oh, it's hot all right. Making a noise. So I'm just putting some of the onions in the pan right now. You know, the great thing about induction, which really surprised a lot of people, is that it's actually cooking right through it. I've done demonstrations where I put a paper towel. I find it's actually splashing. I cut right down, I cook right through it. Same type of thing. So when I'm the same sauteing method, I did do with the rice. I'm doing here. I'm adding some of those peppers inside. And the thing when you're sauteing, when you add some pepper, salt and pepper, right on top of it. I'll take this off for right now. Good thing about induction, it's I'm going to wipe this down. Always work neat and clean. Induction, the outside parts are nice and cool, and they're about 50% more energy efficient than gas or electric. So once I have it here, all that I want to do is already seasoned it. If you find that the vegetables are browning too fast, it's getting a nice little color right now. Don't be afraid to slow it down some. You can use some, just a splash of water in the pan. That can actually help soften the vegetables while they're cooking. You'll find that with a larger vegetable. So we had I'll show you that tip one more time with the red onion. And what I also do, I showed a tip earlier where I take a piece of foil and I roast off the pepper, then I cut the two ends off and make one slice. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a red onion the same way, not even peel it, and I'll put it aside on that cookie sheet tray, salt, pepper, and just roast it until it's tender. The next day, I would take the peel off, which makes a nice, beautiful purple color. I might put that underneath some grilled steak, so now it's a caramelized Bermuda onion. Sounds more expensive than just a brown red onion. Okay, then I have the roasted pepper. What I showed earlier is when I roast the two together, once this blisters, I take this piece off, just take the foil around the outside, and in 10 minutes, all the skin comes off. So I have a roasted pepper and I have some roasted Bermuda onions. That's a pretty good combination. So this is actually just about tender right here. It's the same technique. Remember, I'm creating a little pocket. You can see how I have it slanted. And just kind of fold it this way. Okay, just learn to start that little pocket first, then just flip it that way. But practice with the rice first. And the same thing with making an omelet. So now we have some peppers. We have some onions right here. We're going to actually make an omelet for you right now. So we're going to stop this session for right now. You learn how to learn the sauteing method with the rice. You learn how to flip with a piece of bread. Okay, do those first before you actually get to the stove. So in the next session, we're going to show you how to make an omelet with these ingredients. Be right back.